culture is simultaneously yesterday, today, and tomorrow. When it ceases to be important, barbarians burn Rome, a virus infects the entire body of the community, wolves come to power, and society becomes uncomfortable to live in. All our human achievements are forgotten, people become a herd, and the future is destroyed. Studying the history of art since childhood, I viewed how much humanity has created. Paintings, sculptures, tools, weapons, culture and art in their various manifestations. Imagine, everything is so complete and beautiful. An ode to man, an ode to our body and spirit. However, as long as barbarians exist, there is always a threat to Rome. As long as there are people who are outside of culture, who are unable to grasp the art and understand the beauty of our hearts and the world, there will be wars. My story begins when I, as a typical teenager with artistic interests, used to ignore these obvious facts. Living in a vacuum with people alike, it was strange for me to attribute what seemed routine and everyday things to the controversial and unequivocal word art, a torch for each nation. I simply refused to get the fact culture and art are essential components of the whole nation's formation. I was infected with the total incomprehension of the profound truths about how artistic practice, culture, and heritage are not only a part of the curriculum of museum artifacts, but the intellectual arguments and a foundation for each nation. One day, there was a breakage in the chain. War happened. But the topic of my speech is not about war machines, there is something more. Where rockets, mines, boats, fighter jets, bombs, and propaganda do not help. Instead, how cognizant discovery of my national Ukrainian art changed me as a human, and how I continued to empower my community towards this eye-opening realization. With all catastrophes on the way, the 24th of February brought a new chapter in my life, in which my patriotism is revived and greatly amplified. I realized it is not in the first place people and places we are fighting for, but the ideas, purposes, and prejudices that inhabit the air, land, and heads, nurturing and feeding ourselves for centuries. I came to the conclusion, today's war is for civilization. This is a war of culture and barbarism. Ukrainian architecture of constructivism, the ingenuity of Vyshyvanka and Trombita, the mythology of ancient Slavic, prehistoric cave paintings of Tripila, and many more ideas, bound with my spirit, electrifying the whole meaning behind my life. The last food on the shelves and sleep with the air alerts in the background was replaced by innumerable research, experiences, and powerful connection with my ancestors. However, the issue which we are facing today is new. The problem of national identity is among the issues passed to Ukrainians over past centuries. The composite of this past has been national understanding, the sufficiency of which we do not have due to the incompleteness of cultural awareness. This incompleteness, besides many reasons, also lies in the informational gaps created by the occupation of Ukrainian lands by the imperials, including the USSR, in the past, and their efforts to obliterate tribes residing in our territories. In Russia, on the basis of a classified order from 2014, archives with data on people repressed in the USSR, most of whom are Ukrainians, in particular artists revolutionaries like Vasily Stus, Mikhail Wojciuk, and many others, are being destroyed and hidden. Mass repressions, which were called Stalinist, took place in the USSR in the 1930s and 50s. During this time, Soviet security forces arrested no less than 1.7 million people, of whom over 700,000 were executed. The total number of repressed people in the USSR, according to the estimates of the Human Rights Center Memorial, may be 12 million people, but researchers still know the names of only more than 3 million people. In Russia, Stalin's crimes have never received legal assessment and are not condemned. So we are not surprised to read the news the Russian Federation committed 407 crimes against the cultural heritage of Ukraine, including destroying the whole museums. Protecting cultural heritage is as noble as creating it, and it is very joyful to hope that after our generation, the next ones will join it, those who will grow up with the awareness of their involvement in this culture. It is our common purpose in our lives to restore, renovate, and develop further into the masses illegally kept archives, historical texts, and ingenious paintings to repatriate our cultural property, ultimately solving the problem of identity. Ukraine is not the only one with this infection, but countries like Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan are suffering from major crises, terrorism, and civil wars, while hundreds of temples, artistic treasures, and artifacts from the cradle of civilization are being destroyed. During the period studies, ISIS destroyed the Temple of Bay, the Temple of Baal Shamin, the Triumphal Arch, 3 columns during executions, multiple tower tombs, and the Romanian museum collections. Additionally, ISIS beheaded Khalid al-Assad, the former head of Palmyra Antiquities. One thing that impressed me the most, by official documents, ISIS militants destroyed the statues of Lama Su, along with many other precious artifacts, while those are being kept, restored, and worshipped as evidence of humanity's treasures in museums like Louvre and Metropolitan. Well, no, I was once again wrong. They're not destroying statues, they are destroying themselves, pointing fear right into the heart. Therefore, my speech is directed to help people from other nations get the impetus to start learning about their cultural heritage and to become proud of being who they are and of the place where they are from. Nowadays, citizenship has become more than just an ethnic identifier for me. It is a community and culture that I am deeply motivated to uphold. All calamities attached me with the spirit of persistence and practically taught me a philosophy that is demonstrated through actions. It fueled me to explore the massive confrontation of cultures. I realized that the strength of a nation lies in its ability to maintain values and traditions when faced with such difficult circumstances. At this point, I decided to unfold the eyes of thousands of other teenagers around Ukraine, with the same sensitivity to bring up further generations who would learn from our generation's mistakes in turn. From small lectures in school with sharp-witted presentations and exhilarating art history discussions, I got to the creation of my own organization, Element, whose mission is to popularize and preserve Ukrainian art. I feel like I'm presenting a new Apple product, but in fact, believe me, it's something greater. Element is a media library and a community of art critics which strives to reanimate the repressed, shot, and forgotten Ukrainian artists with a high-quality collection, processing, and digitalization of archives for a large-scale audience worldwide. We strive to present Ukrainian art as the core of our beings and prompt Ukrainians to think about how we can talk about heritage in a contemporary and lively manner. It engenders a new representation of Ukrainians around the globe, an appreciation of Eastern Slavic traditions, and a greater sense of camaraderie between distinct folks, interconnecting knowledge for godness. The habit takes some 20 days to get developed, and it already passed the 250th day of the war. So I'm going to share with you mine. When it becomes difficult, remember all of the names of those who created and lived, developed and suffered, who died and perished, who dreamed and stood on our side. Remember the symbols that sit inside of you, remember where you are from, and what is your culture. Be native speakers. Don't shy away from your language and customs. Choose the future. Do not allow those who have nothing human to dictate your life and development conditions. They may have a million-strong army. We have something to fight for. And despite all other state-building elements, let's not neglect culture, because this gift, more than any other, will make Ukraine a beloved home for our people and a powerful, peacemaking, worthy of international attention and respect member of humanity. After all, our fire is love and freedom, struggle and indomitability, which cannot be extinguished. Thank you.